Welcome to another episode of the Hustle and Grind Podcast.
I am Monique. They call me Mo Hustle.
They call me the Grind Guy.
I be up early in the morning.
You wake up like, God, why?
Gotta do to get this money,
We are the non-traditional couple.
You okay?
The Hustle and the Grind.
The Hustle and Grind Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Hustle and Grind Podcast. My name is John. They call me the Grind Guy.
And my name is Monique, and they call me Mo Hustle. And this podcast is all about exactly what the name is, the hustle and the grind. We talk to entrepreneurs and talk about just everything that we go through in entrepreneurship when it comes to hustling, grinding, staying motivated, staying focused, staying determined, all the above that make you successful as an entrepreneur.
And the adversity that you go through, so the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys. Because, you know, what y'all see on camera, right, on the social media platforms and all that, it look great. Oh, I need to jump right in. But you don't know what that person's been through to get to where they are.
And talking about adversity, guys, the guest that we have today can speak just to that. Our guest today, guys, hails all the way from Flint, Michigan, my hometown. He's a Bronze Star Medal, Purple Heart, Combat Action Badge, and JFK Leadership Award by the United States Army and the United States Army Special Operations Command. He's also airborne, air assault, and sapper qualified. Now, we're not talking military. What this guy does right now is government contracting.
Wow.
Government contracting on a major level. With no further ado, we have Fox Wade. Fox, what's good?
What's good?
How are you?
I'm great. Yourselves?
We're doing great.
Yeah, good.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, welcome
Thank
to
you
the
for
Hustle
the-
and Grind Podcast, man.
Thank you all for the invite.
No, thank you for being here.
I'm honored.
So, tell everybody a little bit about who Fox Wade is.
It's a loaded question right there. Honestly, I'm just a husband and a father.
That's
That's
all?
it. That's it. Who just loves to own their time and reverse engineer generational curses.
I like that.
I like that.
Own your time. I know you're big on owning your time and what that means to you. So, let's get deep.
Okay.
What does that mean? What's your why? John is big on the why.
Yes.
And I know you guys will probably definitely elaborate on some things as fathers.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about, what did you want to have more time for?
Going back to that question, why, years ago, when I discovered who I was, I knew that I wanted to be one of the best family men / fathers on the planet, right? I didn't meet my father until I don't even know, should I even use that word, father? I didn't meet that guy until I was 39 and 3/4 years old. Last time I seen my mother, I believe I was 20 or 21.
Wow.
In which I ran into her at some type of the Flint tailgate thing. Maybe I was 24. I don't even remember. So I knew that once I had my family, that I had to be the one that lay my life on the line and reverse engineer all that cowardness, and to let my kids know that I'm going to always be here for you.
Dope. So, because we speaking on the why, that's so big to me, because the why stretches everything out. Like you said, you want to be the best father. Mm-hmm. So talk about that, like the fatherhood of just being we don't know. Tell the people, like how old were you when you had your first kid? Like, elaborate.
My daughter was born when I was 20.
Okay.
20 years old. My son was born when I was 21. And then, I've had my 15-year-old son, and I have twin daughters. But the first time I had a child, I mean, you talk about nervous, scared, the whole 9 yards, right? At the age of 20, right? I mean, which I would have never thought that I would have a kid at the age of 20. But, I manned up, and, I tried to be the best father I was. The difficult part about it is that I was in the Army during that time. And this was 2002. And everybody knows what was going on during that whole decade, whatever, right?
Wow.
We were back and forth between Afghanistan, Iraq. So I found myself struggling to be a father because I was serving the United States Army going back and forth to Iraq. I've been to Iraq 4 times.
Wow.
Afghanistan once, and then a few other places in Northern Africa and Southeast Asia. So I literally probably spent a total of 8 years just being overseas.
Wow, that's big. Excuse me. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Okay, so you served in the military, and then you had your stint with that, and then now you're into government contracting. So let's talk, because I know even prior to government contracting, you were investing in real estate, flipping houses, doing some project management and things like that. So let's just talk about your transition from being military, and then now, going into real estate, and then from there going into government contracting.
All right, so I got out the military in 2014, September 4th, 2014, and I had no idea what the hell I was going to do. Like, I mean, you're trained to be a soldier for 14 years straight, and now you're out in the world and you're like, y'all civilians do this? All right, so I remember getting out the military, moved my former family from Fayetteville, North Carolina, because I was stationed at Fort Bragg, down here to the Atlanta area. And my first job I had was at a warehouse. They were doing like tea and stuff like that, like some type of warehouse, whatever. And I was there for 2 weeks. Reason being I was there for 2 weeks because I was working for people who, they wasn't efficient enough for me, because I'm so used to being in the military. And, you're in the military, it's all about mission first, right? So I'm at this warehouse and I'm dealing with these people and I'm like, nah, I'm going to kill somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and just resign and then go do something else. So then I went home and then I was like, you know what? I want to do something different. So I went and got my real estate license. And on the back, at the same time, I got my GC license. And I said, I'm going to become a real estate developer or whatever. Started off by selling a few homes. And it was pretty cool, too, because a lot of the homes that I sold was people that from my hometown of Flint, Michigan. Oh, wow. I wasn't advertising myself. I wasn't out there. In Atlanta? In Atlanta, okay. Right? So I wasn't out there advertising myself because I was a part of Keller Williams. And it was just people saw me on Facebook and they're like, oh, you're a realtor? Hey, I need a house to buy, close friends of mine, whatever. And I was closing like 1 or 2 deals a month just based off of people just knew who I was.
So you are the reason all these people from Flint got to Atlanta.
I'm telling you, listen, they were blowing my phone up. But it was cool because I didn't really have to do a whole lot, right? They would hit me up and call me or whatever. So, and they would find their own homes, but by Georgia law, you got to have a real estate agent to be able to make the transaction. So I'll, help them out, whatever. But I was building my real estate development company, which was Wade Realty and Contracting. And I was, flipping homes, whatever, but it was more partnerships with a bunch of high-level flippers. So, I was doing the construction piece and getting a good piece of the pie. And then one day, I went to a training, right? This training was done by the, what is it called? The Veterans with Disabilities Entrepreneurship Boot Camp thing. And meeting a guy there, he was like, oh man, you got a construction company doing da. You should get into government contracting. I'm like, what the hell is government contracting? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, man, like, it's with the government, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm staying away from that because you said the key word. Government. And I'm trying to get away from government. I gave the government 14 years. And an older guy, and he was like, no, like, you really need to do this. And I said, all right, cool. So then I started researching on my own, started, just doing Google searches, finding different information. End up turning my company, which was Wade Realty and Contracting, into a government contracting company. Crazy part about it is that as soon as I transferred it over, I had got a certification called a Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certification or Small Business Program, and the state of Georgia's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and Veteran Business Enterprise. And the city of Beaufort, and y'all can look this up if y'all want to. So the city of Beaufort Housing Authority had a contract that came up, and I don't know. I just found it on Google, and I was like, cool. So I looked at the specs and everything, and I was like, this is right around the corner from me. Like I literally was living in Beaufort, the Beaufort up there by Lake Lanier, and I was like, oh, this is right around the corner from me. I literally drive past that spot. So I ended up going to the pre-bid conference. I was the only black guy there, whatever. It was like 13 vendors. I was the only black guy there, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to bid on this thing. I have no idea what I was thinking, but I ended up putting a bid together for myself, ended up reaching out to a roofing company, partnered with them, whatever, submitted my bid. It was $500,000. It was about $489K. And crazy thing happened. 2 weeks later, I got an email saying that we've been awarded the contract. And so for the Beaufort Housing Authority, they needed for a vendor to come in and remodel their main office. They wanted to modernize it, whatever, do the tenant finish of it, the tenant interior finish, and then all the roofs they wanted them replaced. So the main building, they wanted to replace the they wanted to go from shingles to metal roofing, and then all the residential areas housing, they wanted to replace the shingles with the ice shield. Blah, I learned all that stuff on the fly, right? And I sat there at my desk and I was like, did I just want a government contract in construction?
Wow.
I had no construction background at that time, y'all.
So let's talk about that because, people run away from opportunity. So opportunity presented itself and you just took action, which is what everyone needs to do, especially entrepreneurs, because, we all in the real estate space, right? And you had a real estate background, but you just took advantage of that because it was just something that you were looking to get into.
Yeah, it was right there in my local jurisdiction, and when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna shoot my shot. They're gonna either tell me yes or no. But I came in as the lowest bid. I think the next bid was like $15,000 higher than mine, and then the next one was like $32,000 higher than mine. But I was the lowest. But I think my proposal is what captivated them.
How did you know how much to submit the offer or submit the bid for?
So for me, I work with the roofing company and I work with the tenant finish company or whatever. And then just by calling people, honestly, who've been kind of doing it,
pricing out the work,
getting that mentorship, and it was like, oh, add this piece in there. Don't forget this price. You're gonna have the insurance. You got to get bonding. You got to go through all those steps to to do the construction piece. And I listened, and I just packaged all that in there. And that was the first one. I believe that was October of 2015, maybe September. And then next thing you know, being partners with the other roofing company, there was a fire station in the city just north of Beaufort, Gainesville, Georgia. A fire station needed their roof replaced as well. Worked with my roofing company, put everything together. That bid was $112K. We won that one, right? But the cool part about it is that when I did the site visit, the guy was military as well. So him and I hit it off real good. Yeah. And we did that fire station. He called me up because he was in charge of the whole county. Okay. And he was like, hey, there's a park and they got these buildings, whatever. Can you replace those roofs too? He was like, I'm not even gonna put it out on the market. I'm just gonna give it to you because it's the budget is $40K. And I was like, bro, say less. And then I went to a few different events, whatever. Met a guy at FAA. Good guy too, ex-military. Hit it off with him at a industry day right here at FAA in College Park. Great guy, whatever. And then next thing you know, he was like, "Hey, you do roofing?" Oh man, he was like, "I need help," And I said, "Hey, I'm SDVOSB. Why don't you just sole source it to me?" He was like, "Say less." And I had sent him the Federal Acquisition Regulation FAR clause to say you can basically not compete these opportunities on the market. You can give it to me. Now let me rewind. Now, we doing all these roofing jobs, right? I had never been on a roof before.
Right.
Never. Ever. I'm not afraid of heights, but I was like, I don't need to go up there.
Right.
Whatever. And so, we did, the Athens airport.
Okay.
Airport. I didn't know it was controlled by FAA, but we did that roof. I did polymethane roofs.
So you just became a roofer.
I became, one of the top roofers in the Southeast whatever.
Based on scheduling and having other people do your work.
Man, it was crazy. And then we ended up scaling that company all the way up to like 5 million, right? But at the same time, because of I'm very strategic in what I do, right? I like having portfolios. And my wife will tell you this, like we got like 8 banks that we bank with, right? Because I like to have things like from a continuity perspective. From a continuity perspective, right? Because we know that the market does this, right? Market goes up, it comes down. So I was like, cool. Well, now that I got these good relationships, I got these good contractors, I was flipping houses too, right? You know, how about I try to get into something else? So I ended up going on a app called, what is a construction app? I haven't used it in a long time. It's really popular right now.
For
construction work.
like management?
There's any kind of construction work.
Monday?
It's not Monday. No, it's an app that everybody go to, and I forgot what it's called. But there's an app, right? I'll probably hit me up when I get in the car. But there's an app. I will put my company on this app, right? And people will be like, hey, I need somebody that can renovate my office space. I need
Like
somebody.
Angie's
Like
List?
Angie's List.
No,
Like,
it's another one.
But it's a construction one, but similar.
Construction, janitorial,
Okay.
it's all on there, right? But it's not Angie's List, but it was something that rivals Angie's List. I forgot what it's called.
Okay.
But I had my company on there. I just found it, right? Because Angie's List was expensive at the time. And I was like, I ain't trying to pay this crazy subscription. But I found this other one that everybody was using. And then next thing you know, I was doing chiropractors' offices. I did like pediatricians. Like I'm doing their tenant finish. I was doing, matter of fact, we were doing like sun rooms and stuff like that. Because I had a really good construction queue. And they were all black too, which was hard to come by. And so I had projects all around the city of Atlanta, everywhere, right?
So let me ask you, were these crews that you had when you were actually like doing your real estate developments, or were these crews that you found as these opportunities came about?
Yeah, so they were my real estate developers, right?
Okay.
And they were and all of them were from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Grenada. They were like really good, really good, right? So I had like my plumbing crew, my carpenters, my electricians, all of them. They were like good, and so like they would do like all my tenant finish stuff. And we were doing stuff in Buckhead, doing stuff over there in West Atlanta, and it was beautiful to see. Like I had like this, this logo, because I had these little sheets that every construction site you would see the company name, information, and I would pull up like Way Realty and Contractor. No, I did that. Whatever.
That's dope.
So that was that. It just rapidly grew, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. My accounting was all crazy. I mean, it was cool. But a company called CBRE, which is a major real estate, commercial real estate company, I was doing a job up at Buckhead, and one of the people saw me, and they had an office there, and they was like, oh, we heard about your company, da 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 da, and I was like, yeah, we doing work here, we do this. They was like, oh, you're in government contracting. Oh, okay. Talked to them. Next thing I met with their senior vice president, and they were like, hey, we want to make you an offer and buy your company. And I was like, what do you mean by my company? Like, it's like we're like 10, 11 months in at the moment. And I was like, you want to buy my company? What does that even mean by my company? Yeah. I don't know, And it was like, he was like, I'll give you $850K for your company. And I was like, nah, bro, we can't. Nah, that's just too low. I'm doing $5 million a year.
Yeah.
I got all these contracts. I got a relationship with the FAA guy. He's just handing me stuff, throwing me stuff. We got relationships with City of Beaufort, with Gainesville.
Athens.
I'm doing stuff. I was like, I'm not that intelligent, but I ain't that dumb either.
Right.
Just, I get it, And then like maybe 45 days later, they made me another offer, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. What do you?
It came up that much?
I was like, you know what? This is a lot of stress. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm dealing with so much stuff. Whatever. I'm up and down 85. I'm using the toll road. I think I was spending like $500 a month in tolls.
Wow.
Right? Because I'm, 85.
Right.
That toll,
Yeah.
it could be $25 from here to there. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather be at home with my kids. This is my time to be at home with my kids.
Everything goes back to time.
Yeah. So end up, making that transition. At this moment, I learned a lot because I wish I would have had mentorship in it, because there's a lot of acquisition stuff that you don't know about. Because even though they say, we'll give you this and you already kind of spending the money in your head already, like, I'm about to get that. Okay, cool. I'm going to get this. You know, when everything's settled and done, you didn't pay lawyers' fees, acquisitions fees. You know, I was trying to like really keep my ex-wife out of the whole loop about the whole stuff, whatever, because I wasn't really in a trusting phase with her. And it was just crazy how it went, but everything was done. And then I was like, cool. And I stayed at home for about a good year and a half. You know, with my daughters were maybe 3 or 4 years old, my twin daughters, and I just stayed at home. You know,
like you got a nice little settlement to stay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was
just sitting at home. You don't just sit at home.
It was good. It was good. You know.
So let's get into what you're doing now. You know, I know. Let's actually talk about it. So, what's your company?
Oh,
tell the people what your company is.
So my current company now is called Black Fox. It was launched in 2018. Total different sector, right? So now I'm in the business management, information technology, cybersecurity, and we're starting to morph into other different areas too, right? And launching this company goes back to the same why, right? I just wanted to make sure that I created something that I can pass on to my children, that I can create generational wealth, that I can, you know, get into something that, you know, when they get older, they don't have to go look for a job. They can just work right here in this company, right? Started off, so let's just be open and honest, right? All that money that I made from the acquisition of the other company, all that money's gone.
Yeah.
Right? It's gone, right? You buy houses, you buy cars and all that stuff. That stuff was gone. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, I want to like do something different, right? That I know that's sustainable. Went through a divorce, you know, cut that away, whatever, and then, you know, launch my company 1 May of 2018. So we're about to hit 5 years in business. Launched the company 1 May through relationships, landed my first government contract, which was about 30 grand. It was 30 grand then. 60 days later, got another contract. It was 60K plus, so I'm at 90 grand. And then by the end of the year, got a contract for 1.3 million, which was a subcontract for 1.3 million, because the formula is the same, right? No matter what industry you're in, government contracting is the same. So now we do a lot of work with Department of Defense. We do a lot of work with state level agencies, local governments, quasi-government. We've done business with corporations, headquartered in right outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. Opening up an office here in Atlanta, Georgia, and then opening up an office in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
That's what's up.
Man.
Now, the government contracting is very interesting. I just attended you guys' conference last weekend, and shoot, it was information overload because it's such a lot of information in a short period of time. So anytime you go to something over the weekend, you're just really, really wanting to learn more and just eager to get more information. And, you know, he's been in my ear for really a couple years, if not longer than that, about government contracting. So it's one of those things where I think any industry that you're in, there's opportunity because the government buys everything, right? So for people that are out there that are interested in getting into government contracting, like where is a good place to start?
So let me break it down into a simple science, right?
Please.
Once again,
for the people in the back.
Once again, when you hear the word government, the first thing you think is what?
Government.
Oh, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's be real,
No.
right? Hit all the time. So the government is one of those recession-proof industries on the planet. Like, it don't matter what country you go to, the government needs private corporations, private industry partners.
The government
in order to
never
function.
shuts down.
Never shuts down, right? It's the last standing organization on the planet. The one thing that I did not know is that the government needs us as much as we need them, right? So me growing up as a kid on government assistance, I thought that we needed the government. But now being an adult and being in the business world now as a business owner, the government needs us, right? The government spends roughly around $4.4 trillion plus doing business with small, medium, and large corporations, right? Or businesses, or just entrepreneurs, period, right?
Real quick, stop right there. So all this money, so they need us to spend the money with us as small business owners or corporations.
That's right. Because when you pay your taxes, that money goes where? goes up,
Yep.
right? The government has a budget to operate. Okay, so they got to pay senators, they got to pay W-2 employees, and this is on all levels of government, right? But then they have a 1.4 trillion plus operational budget that must go to small businesses, because small businesses have what? Employees, and employees pay taxes, so that money is in a revolving cycle, right? But at the same time, they understand that in order for there to be employees, there has to be a business owner or business, right? So, for example, if you go to any federal agency, when you walk in, let's say I love to use this example. You go to the Motor Vehicle Administration, right? DMV, people like to call it. Everybody's been there because you got to get a driver's license, you got to get renewal, all that stuff, right?
Every year.
Every year, right? So you go there and you walk in and people don't even pay attention. What do you see?
Clerks, people working there.
We're not at the people yet. What do you see when you go in?
People.
A line.
No, you see computers.
Right.
You see stuff, right? So you see the computers. What's the name on the computers? Apple, HP, Dell, right?
I know where you're going with this.
I know where you're
You
going
see
to
that?
now. Yeah.
That's a government contract right
Right.
there, because they need that.
Yeah.
You got printers, the damn your license.
Yeah.
Scanners.
No, just the license plastic, right?
No.
That's
Everything
a
that
contract.
they're using in there, because if you go
Everything,
get your
right?
driver's license, they're printing your driver's license.
Yeah.
Right?
So all the materials that are needed
walk
to
in,
actually make your driver's license comes
even-
from these sources.
Exactly. You look in, you see security cameras. A contractor came in and had to install that, right? Now you get to the people and you're like, cool, this must be a what? DMV employee, right? 2 times out of 10, they're not, right? It's staff augmentation, because the DMV already have an allocated number of employees that they can have per their operational budget. But then they got to have a separate contract to say, we need staff augmentation, and then we're going to contract with this company, and they can bring in people. So now you're leasing people to the government.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
I didn't say the S word, but I'm saying you're leasing people to the government for a fee /
Yeah,
profit, right?
right.
And that happens all the time. We call that butts and seats, all right? You look at the police station, you see the cars. They're in police cars. That's a government contract. Because those cars are what? Ford. Chevrolet, all that. So they had to go through an acquisition process in order to buy from who? Private industry partners.
And it's guaranteed.
Say it one more time.
Guaranteed.
All right. So whether there's a recession, whether there's an alien invasion, right? They need these resources to do it. And these contracts are locked in for a minimum 12 months. But honestly, because the government, how they function, they'll say base period 1 year, but that's more of like, let's just test drive you to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. But the contracts are for 5 years. So if you win a $10 million contract, at least you know you're locked in for what? 10 years,
10
on a
years.
$10 million, 5 years on a $10 million contract.
Wow.
Construction, janitorial services, if you do hair, if you sell wigs.
Wow.
Now look, hold
Now
on.
that's-
hold on.
now you're going into
that.
a
No,
whole
that's
nother-
the craziest thing that I heard last weekend, because there was a gentleman and his wife. Well, the gentleman has a hair company, and they came to the conference like, we don't know what we can or how we can get into government
And
contracting.
then I broke it down for him, and he was like,
Yeah, he's in the hair industry.
what?
Wow.
Yeah, the VA, right?
VA, Department of Health and Human Services, right? Cancer Institute. So
That's big.
they buy everything. Camera equipment, it doesn't matter. They need it. I mean,
Everything.
they need it. And you got to look at it like this, right? How many of y'all know people work at work for the government?
A lot. I know. I got a
A
few.
lot.
Okay.
Got
What do they
family.
specialize in?
IT. One's IT.
IT?
IT, finance.
Okay.
Yeah, some everything.
Do they specialize in cleaning office buildings at night?
Not any
No.
of my people, but
No, I know some people, but I don't. You know.
No. I'm talking about that work for the government. Do they clean
Oh.
buildings, right?
no.
No, they
they
hire. That's another contract.
You see what I'm saying?
It's a whole nother business.
All right.
I know some people that got those businesses.
They specialize in their labor category, but you got to look at all the operational stuff that's needed in order to run that organization. Janitorial services, there's a water leak. Somebody got to come fix that. The government wants to build out a new building and they want to do tenant finish. They need construction companies. Construction is one of the biggest like between IT and construction. That's one of like some of the largest acquisitions that the government does. And what I mean by acquisitions, that's what they buy the most.
I'll tell you guys what. Mr. Fox here has a GovCon blueprint. Okay?
Run out of time.
No. We're not running out of time at all because honestly, it's one of these things to where it's a one-stop shop, and I want you to talk about that because you got into this. I'm not going to say accidentally or coincidentally. I'm not going to say that. Not accidentally nor coincidentally, but when the opportunity presented itself, you went after it. You figured it out. But now we're talking about you from taking a roofing contract to now doing cyber, IT, intelligence, like all the things that you're doing. So with your with your GovCon blueprint, what can people get there?
So let me break it down. So government contracting can be tough for people that are just so oblivious to it, right? And I know when I came through, I was a little bit hard-headed because I was like, well, you already did it before. You could do it again. And it really kicked my ass, let's be honest with you, right? Because information technology is just a robust type of industry. I mean, you got cyber, system admin, it's crazy, right? So I came into it a little bit hard-headed. And, I got beat up by prime contractors who are the primary contract holders with the government. Sometime you'll win contracts, but they may not start for another 6 months. So you like, man, I'm celebrating. I'm winning this contract. I'm about to make all this money. But then 6 months later, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? And the contract may not start then. So a lot of lessons learned and a lot of crying, a lot of like wanting to quit, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of went into this. I mean, I want people to think like, oh, you could just come into this and be like good. So like once I finally like really broke through, I was like, you know what? In order for me to like really have people come in and get some great information, great mentorship, because the one thing I always tell people is that I'm not a coach, I'm not an instructor, I'm not a teacher, I'm not none of that stuff. I'm not your guru. I'm a mentor, right? Because I can mentor you through all the stuff that you don't want to go through. So, my company Black Fox, now that we're turning over and we're winning, $20+ million contracts now, and as a as a proven practitioner in the industry, now I say, you know what? Now I can mentor people, so that way they can get the right information.
So you're giving back, and
then the mentorship turned into like, wait a minute, now that I got these contracts, how about I partner with people too? So now you don't feel like you're just coming in and you're just like, oh, I'm just learning, and you at the end of it all, you get a certificate and you're standing there like, so what do I do next? Now I get to hold your hand fully through it. I'm talking about like grab your hand, mentor you, and my company Black Fox can partner with your company to go after these opportunities. So now when you go after these opportunities, you don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah,
right?
So when are we going to partner?
We started already since last week, since the conference.
But quick question, because you just ran over this like it wasn't nothing. So you went from just testing it out with roofing companies and, going through the motions in the business of government contracting, and now you're talking about 20 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's what God does, right? God give you a little piece, and then it's like, like recently we won, and it's crazy because like I did it with one of my childhood friends growing up from Flint, Michigan. Found an opportunity in the state of Michigan, and
shout out Jonathan Corals.
I hit him up and I said, hey, I found an opportunity. I know we can we can win this, but we're just not a Michigan-based company just yet. How about you prime it? I'll mentor you. We'll write it. We'll show you how to do pricing and everything. And that way, when we win it, we do a 51-49 share. You get 51% because you're the primary contractor on it. We're the subcontractor. And if we're good, we're square, we're good. And he was like, all right, bet. We won it a couple weeks ago. It's a total of $27 million contract. And
congrats.
And, what you said before is like that test run before was like, hey, this is what's out here. I've gave you hell through your childhood.
Yep.
I put you in the military. You'd employ. You didn't got injured in the military. You know what? I know you can handle this, but I'm gonna give you a little piece first. That's what Wade Realty and Contracting came into play. And then after that, it was like, all right, now you got it. You good. You can handle more. All right, let me bless you with,
That's major, man.
and this is recently with the $20 million contract as of like 2023, like since January.
Okay.
Every other contract before that was, it can range between 4,500 all the way up until $3 million.
Okay, so how many contracts would you roughly say that you kind of like estimate or can estimate? Because I know you just go across. You're not just in one state.
Are you saying like total what we have in our active contracts right now?
Yeah. What's the most
right
that
now?
you've let's say what's the most that you have reached at one time?
Far as making contracts. Right now we got 18 active contracts in our portfolio.
Dope.
Right. The crazy part about it is that I had it broken up, right? Because it was just all like one line, and I was like, let's break it up and see like industry wise, right? So one is like strategic planning. I believe we got three in strategic planning, and I believe we have a contract with the GSA, which we have a GSA schedule. That's General Service Administration. We have 2 subcontracts with a company called Vistant for USAID type of work, and I forgot the other contract off the top of my head. The other portfolio is information technology, so we put cyber, business continuity, all that underneath that one. I want to say we have 6 active contracts. We have an education contract. We have a finance contract, which we're providing temporary accounting services. So it's like once you get into the government and you win one, now you can kind of...
So it's almost like a relationship based, like they start seeing your face or you see your company over and over again.
In a way, right? So we just recently won a contract with as of, I want to say last week, a week before last, with a state agency called Maryland 529. They're in charge of like I think it's like the benefits of state of Maryland. Still kind of weird to me, right? I want to say it was submitted on the first week of April. We submitted. I don't have no relationship with this agency at all, but I guess they loved our proposal. They loved our price. And, a week later, they made an award and said, we want to go with your company, Black Fox.
Nice.
Wow.
Right? So sometimes it's just all about how you help, how you're going to help the government solve their problem. And the one thing I talk about is in business overall, what I've learned is that business is not really about you, right? It's about your customer.
Yep.
Right.
How can you make your customer
Solving a
into
problem.
the hero, right? For example, right, this beautiful home that y'all built, whatever. I'm pretty sure that y'all hired specialists to come in and do the flooring,
Right.
and windows and all that stuff. But when people come to this house, you say, "I had this built."
Right.
You never say, "Oh yeah, I had my so and so." Da da da. You say, "No,
Right.
I had this house
Right.
built." Right. So you gotta think of.
I say I built it.
Exactly. Yeah. You say that. We all say that, right?
Yeah. Maybe cleaned up and
that's it.
And
You
cleaned
wrote
up
the
a
check.
little bit. But
you wrote the check, right?
Wrote the checks, yeah.
So a government customer, what do you think they're doing, right? They're doing the same thing
Right.
because they're telling their boss, "Look at what I did," right? I had some, this strategic plan is beautiful, it's set, and the next thing you know, you're like, "Okay, cool," and then they take that up to their boss. They're all about getting promoted, but your ultimate reward is what?
The contract.
They signed a check.
Right. So question, is there a way that you can diversify your portfolio within government contracting? And by that, I mean, for example, you may be awarded a contract, right? But it may not come up, like you said, for say maybe 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So you get excited about winning or being awarded this $3 million contract, right? So is there any way that you can distinguish the short-term opportunities versus the long-term when you are submitting bids?
Yeah, most definitely. So one way that you can do it is that. So there's this thing called micro purchases. Anything, and I'm talking universal, right? So you got federal, state, local, quasi-governments, and quasi-governments are government agencies that support multiple jurisdictions, right? So in the DMV, you have the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority. They run the subway system. I don't want to say subway system, but they run the train system, right? But the trains support Virginia, DC, and Maryland. So they're funded by all three. So that's quasi.
Gotcha.
The airport authorities, they're quasi governments because they're funded by different jurisdictions. So sometimes you have small, what we call them, micro purchases or acquisitions, right? They could be less than 100K, 50K, depending on the government. So let's say that College Park Housing Authority was like, hey, we want to have something built. And you're like, when? Next week, right? They're like, bet. What's the price? Oh, we'll. It takes this much to do it. They'll award that contract, and then you can start tomorrow. The reason why they have it because they have the money in the budget all ready to go, right? And it's a need that they need right away. Some contracts, it may be the contract is about to expire, right? And the expiration date is, let's say, July, right? But right now, we need to figure out who is going to take over that contract. So we need to start the acquisition process today. So that's when they'll put it on the market. They'll go through the whole process to be like, cool, you're the company we're going to award it to. And now it gives you preparation to prepare for that transition to take over that continuous contract. But that's why in construction is one of the largest because things need to be done like right away, right? Professional services is more like, we're doing business with this company. Their contract is about to expire. We got to put it back on the open market for people to compete on it because we know that it's going to expire at a certain date.
Wow.
Question.
Answer.
If, say we get an opportunity from a restaurant and the restaurant owner says, oh, the city is actually funding this, but we need to submit bids. We submit bids. Is that a formal bid for a government contract per se?
Not with the private corporation, no.
No. Well, okay.
So let's say a company reaches out to you that the city wants to.
They're going to fund. The city is actually funding the work that's needed. This is work that the city is saying, hey, we need you to do this exterior enclosure, blah, 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 blah. And we need to accept 3 bids from 3 different companies.
Okay.
So the company is seeking those bids, but those bids are being actually submitted to the city by the company, but it's being funded by the city.
Got you.
Would that be considered a government, like technically?
In a way,
because it's like a local municipality.
The question is who you're going to have
I don't know yet.
Whose contract signature is going to be on it?
I don't know. The city.
Right. If the city's name is going to be on that contract, that's a government contract.
Oh, but if it's with the owner,
because
if it's with the business, and that's just direct.
To that's a B2B type of situation.
Okay.
I try to stay away from those because I've seen those a lot. So sometimes the government may have a go-to company that they love, right? That's probably trusted for a decade. And they would do some weird stuff like that to where they're like, well, we have an opportunity, but you have to go through this company in order to do the work. So it's like the company, and I don't think that's legal, to be honest with you. I don't think people have thought it, right? Because for example, if it's a local contract, right? Let's say City of Atlanta, right? But at the same time, some city official has to approve it.
Right.
If it's a county project, the Board of Commissioners have to approve it. So it has to go through a process to where the government has to approve it because they're the one giving up the money to get it done. When they put these companies as, I want to say like, what's that crazy word we use when people are kind of like the
liaison?
Not the liaison. I forgot what they call it. People say the something. They when people in a position of power, right? They're kind of like the people you got to go through to get here.
Oh,
y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I believe it, but
the gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper. Oh. Good job. Right. So sometimes they do that, but you can fight it and be like, wait a minute, hold up. You, the city, you need this work done.
Right.
Why the hell do I got to go through them?
Right.
to
When
to
I can
put
go.
my bid in.
Okay.
Right now,
Because it's even questions to now where the individual, the owner of the company, is like, well, how much control do I have? Like, if I have to submit this to them, if I want you guys to do the work, are they going to be making the decision, or am I going to be making the decision?
No, you're really
it's
not.
a lot of gray areas.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
But you get rid of those gray areas if you bring it up because somebody's not doing their job, right? Especially if it's city money. Because when you're dealing with the public's money, right, the public has to do what? They have to agree to, right? Or your people that you put in position to represent you has to approve of it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, once you get into government contracting, like you literally, it expands your brain to see how things work. Why things were not working where you live at.
Well, let's talk about international opportunity or global opportunity. So, just from what you've the experience that you've gotten under your belt within the U.S., how many opportunities or have opportunities presented themselves to you outside of the U.S.?
Tons. Senegal, one of my favorite places. Opportunity has presented itself. As of recently, as of late Wednesday night, I'm in my office.
Okay.
And it's crazy, right? So we have a USAID subcontract with a company. And Wednesday night, I'm in my office, maybe it was Tuesday, and I'm like signing a subcontract for one of my partners in my community, whatever. And I get this random email, and it was just like, hey, I saw you on, because I have a YouTube channel, whatever. I saw your YouTube channel, and I noticed that you're in government contracting. But guess what? I'm the person who's in charge of your subcontract with blah, blah, blah. Hey, let's talk. And I was like, bet. We're going back and forth on the email because he's actually overseas. He runs like the overseas portfolio. And I was like, well, I said, I'm very interested in doing stuff in South America. What you got? He was like, hey, I got a lot of stuff. I got stuff in Brazil. I got stuff in Colombia. I got stuff in Guyana. Like, what do you need? I'm like, let's talk on Tuesday. So we got a meeting on Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully my team, my CFO, my CAO will be on that meeting. So that way we can discuss how we can do some stuff international. Because the international space is so wide open.
Right.
It is completely wide open.
So let me ask you something. When you're dealing with the international space, are you going international, or are you just doing everything directly from where you are?
You can do both.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do both, depending on the scope of work.
Okay.
Most people operate, and this is why the U.S. and capitalism is so like grand, right? Because you can run everything from here. It's like running a business remotely, right?
Right.
Run everything from here, but use people on ground to actually do the work, and then you can capitalize because
the work
now
is going to be there's going to be less for the work, or you're going to pay them less than what
exactly right. Because if I'm in America and I'm charging the government $200 an hour to do some work, but I find somebody over in Senegal that can do it for $13, how much money did I just make?
Oh my
Buku.
God.
180.
See, I mean, crazy, right?
$183 an hour.
Because I mean, DOD alone
87.
spends
187.
What did I say? 183.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. 187.
Yeah.
because DOD alone spends $800 billion a year. That's just DOD overseas, right? Department of Health and Human Services spends
crazy.
$1 trillion overseas.
Yeah.
USAID spends, I think it's $400 billion overseas.
So it looks like we're getting ready to do some government contracting.
And it's cool because, like, the last time I went to Senegal, we used something called a STEP grant. I forgot what the acronym STEP stand for, but your local counties, your state, your counties have a grant funding program to where if you want to go to a overseas conference, if you want to go to an event, if you want to do some business overseas, they will fund you, right? But the funding it's limited, right? So they'll pay for your airfare, your hotel, and your taxis. I don't think they pay for your meals.
That's fine.
And they'll pay for the event.
Send me a step. Let me step. No, I'm just playing.
And they'll pay for your event that you're going to attend.
Right.
But it's kind of capped a little bit, right? They may say we'll pay up to $5,000, depending on the state.
Yeah.
All states are weird. So I think Georgia, they'll pay 100% of your expenses. Maryland, they will pay up to like 80% or some of your expenses, whatever. But you can actually use it. I don't promote it as much as I want to outside of my community because I just don't want people to be like, oh, I'm gonna take advantage of this grant so I can go on a vacation.
Right.
No, you really need to like
To work.
use it to build relations overseas, build business, because the term that you want to like get familiar with is exporting, right? So when we think about exporting, we think about exporting
Goods.
what?
Goods,
Goods,
Services,
products,
right.
tangible things in your hand.
Yep.
But services, professional services,
That's
are exporting
exported as
too.
well.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick, I want to dive deep on this side because I know we've been talking around everything that you do. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, my company will be at about $100 million a year in revenue. 5 years, I would be stepping away from my company as CEO, and I would just be a president and have a very smart, intelligent person take over it. Because as we go up to the trajectory of about $250 million a year revenue, I don't want no part of that. I just want the asset to be my retirement plan, whatever. But also just to be a global company. You know, one thing that I thought about the other night and I did research on is that I want to see my Black Fox company logo on an NBA jersey one day.
Oh, okay.
And that's $10 to $20 million.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, yep, that's too easy. Let's get it done, whatever. But no, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of us, my company Black Fox, in the community. One thing that I love is that my oxygen level is not up in, you know, the freaking stratosphere, right? I like to be right here on Earth. So when I take rides through low income areas, you know, I think about it. I say, damn, I grew up really, really, really poor. Like I grew up poor, like north side of Flint, Michigan, Weatherby Street. I thought crackheads, I thought police running down the street, sirens. I thought that was normal life, right? And I think a lot of times when we start making money, we lose that sense of where we come from. And then those low income areas stay the same.
Exactly.
Because we change.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought this up.
And you know, one of my biggest dreams is that I would love one day to just move back into a low income area and be like, you know what, let me create some jobs around here, right? I know it's tough, it's hard because, you know, things happen, but, you know, how can we do that? Because
No, I know one of our good friends, he has a massive house, dead smack in the middle of the hood in Atlanta, but his presence there, he's able to talk to the 7 and 10-year-old little boys in the neighborhood, and for them, they come and sit on his porch and ask him questions about, you know, how can I become rich? And he's just like, you know, I was just like you, you know, but he's right there. So it's tangible for them. It's relatable. Like they see it, they can believe it, but they can touch it. They can come, and he actually will take them. Like, let's go to Home Depot, pick up lumber. Like he's showing them what he's doing, and you know, I think that's just one of the most awesome things that, you know, and to each his own. You know, everybody's not going to do that, but I think for people that do have that genuine spirit to give back and the concern for the community, like that's what it's all about, because God didn't bless you to get out not to be able to reach back and pull somebody forward.
Definitely.
And it's not about giving back your money. It's about giving back your energy.
Absolutely.
And your time.
Yeah. You know, I got a neighbor.
Priceless.
I got a neighbor. He just started doing some stuff for me, and it's so cool to see how he lit up, right? Because I live in a middle class neighborhood right now, right? And you know, I'm not in $1 million neighborhood. Whenever I actually like where I live at, because people are just like
normal.
They're just these are normal working people. Everyday hard working people. That's like, hey neighbor, how you doing?
Right.
And you know, they don't know what I really do, but I love it because. You know, my kids love it because all the kids be on the street playing. You're not gonna see that no wealthy rich neighborhood. Ain't nobody coming outside.
Right.
Don't even talk to you.
Yeah.
But like, you know, one of my neighbors, he's a high school kid, and you know, good kid. I was like, hey, I got a job for you, because I go to all these conferences, all these meetings, and I got a stack of business cards. And my wife would tell you, they just everywhere, right? So I like having, you know, interns and stuff like that to be able to help out. So I say, hey, I got a stack of these business cards. It's like 500 of them. All I need for you to do is some data management. You knock out these cards, I'll pay you $250. He was like, what, really?
Right.
Even the parents was like, you need to go knock on that door and let them know that you're here. But I like it because, you know, he'll come over, he'll knock it out, whatever. But while he's doing it, he's asking questions. He's like, oh, what's that right there? You got that business award? He's like, what do you do?
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Cool. I said, I'm going to show you like the back office of my GovCon blueprint. program, whatever.
The bestseller
my secondary
ebook.
company. And the other night we're sitting down, whatever, and like he's showing it. I said, see how much money I made since 1 January? He was like, I don't even think my parents combined make this much money. What do you do? He was like, he pulled up a chair. Was like, can you just tell me more what you do? And I was like, yeah, I do this with the government, I mentor people. He's like, man, I want to get into stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And so it's crazy because on my way up here, he's supposed to come over to the house, whatever. But he was calling and texting like, hey, can I come to the business cards today? Mm-hmm. And I said, nah, not today, whatever, but come next week. I said, you're still good to go. You're on time, whatever. I said, but after that, I want you to like start going to conferences. I think that's more impactful and powerful. Absolutely. When you can give people, I wouldn't say on that level, but more exposure to like, oh man, this is what you do. Because the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, what happened? He got exposed to something different. So I want to do that for more, of our children and our community, to be able to get that exposure.
So you brought up your GovCon blueprint. So guys, I'm just looking on my phone right now because it says that this is the world's #1 platform on how to win government and private corporation contracts. Bestseller. So win your first government contract, and this is for beginners. So it's a simple blueprint. We're going to definitely let you guys know where you guys can actually get this information if you're interested in government contracting. But we could go on and on and on about all this information because it's so much. But we got to wrap it up. Cool. So can I leave you with one thing? Yeah.
So the one thing about my mentorship and partnership program is that people actually win. And how it works is that if you really come into it and like you really want it, I've seen people win contracts as fast as 14 days, 48 hours. I mean, they're really winning. The people who are not winning, they're not putting in the work. Mm-hmm. But when you put that work in, and I see it, I'm gonna back you up and be like, all right, let's go. We're in a runners club now. The biggest contract that I've seen just last week, somebody won a contract for $300K, right? And they already started on their contract already. Yeah, it was like a immediate thing that needs to be happening. One of my mentees got a contract, subcontracted out to her. She won a contract in the middle of the cohort because she was locked in. Like, this is all I gotta do? I was like, bet. Did it, helped her out. She won a contract. She starts on May 15th. So I know we talked about how things can move slow, but they also move extremely fast as well. Absolutely. One guy won a transportation contract for $89K. It was literally moving goods for 3 days for $89K. And he called me and was like, hey man, I need funding. Wow. Inside my community, we got resources. So if you need accounting, you need funding for your contracts, you need insurance, you need anything, we got all the partners in there that you can help you facilitate those contracts.
And your ebook is free?
The ebook is 100% free.
I'm about to get it.
Yeah. So if you go to our website, win.govconblueprint.com, you can download the free ebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Most people tell you that I give away $1 trillion worth of game. Really? I just like to just give people stuff, right? Because I understand people don't have money to invest in my mentorship and partnership program. And the reason why I want people to invest in my mentorship and partnership program is because I know when you put your money behind something that you're going to actually put the work in, right? Most people are not going to spend that much money and be like, whatever. No, you actually came for something. It is a program to where everybody does not get enrolled into it or invited. I do hold a consultation with people to where I screen you, and if I feel that you're not a good fit for the program, then I'm gonna tell you right there, I'm not gonna play no games with you. I'm gonna be like, no, you're just not a good fit. You're not ready just yet. And it's all about building businesses. So if you're ready to get started and go and build a business, then the GovCon Blueprint is for you. You got my company Black Fox that backs you up with everything, writing proposals, going after opportunities. Let's say that you're just not, you want it, but you really are not there yet, right? I'll sub some work out to you from my own company. So now you don't have to wait forever to figure out what you want to do. I'll be like, well, I'll give you a chance. Here's an opportunity, sub it out to you. You're making money, you're building revenue, past performance. So now when you're ready, right, you're not sitting up there like, well, I'm ready, but I don't have anything.
Right. Well, you can sub some workout to us. John, you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, Fox, this is a part of the episode where we ask you a question, just real simple. It's called The Hustle and the Grind. I'm Mo Hustle. That's the grind guy. So for me, the hustle. What does the hustle mean to you?
The hustle to me means changing generational curses and setting up your future grandkids and great grandkids that you may not ever meet become successful.
Wow. Okay. We talked about the hustle. We got to talk about the grind. What does the grind mean to you?
The grind means that you can't never quit, ever. Even when you want to, when things are hard, when they're tough, and you just have no way out, you better not quit. Because there is somebody that you will never meet in the future, they're depending upon you. So that's the hustle and the grind.
There it is.
Okay. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Y'all stay tuned.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.